this goal line of retirement doesn't exist, right? And it shouldn't exist anyways. Like, no, this is the goal. We're going to achieve the goal. And we know that it's a checkpoint on the road. And that has been a really big shift for me as well, is like not thinking about it as like some far out date. No, it's just checkpoints along the way. What's going on, guys? Welcome to I'm Rich,
Now what?
the podcast that is stirring some things up in a positive way. We've had so many great entrepreneurs and business owners reach out to us saying this is like a desperate need for this type of content. Like, hey, once I made the money, now what? And the topic that we're going to be hitting on today is the topic of retirement. And I think this is a very relevant topic because we all work, right? And what we're taught and what we're ingrained from a very young age is you go to school, you get good grades, you get a good job, you work till you're 60 or 70 years old, and then you retire on less money than you couldn't already live off of for the first 40 years of your life, right? At least in the traditional world. We've obviously didn't subscribe to that path earlier on and decided to take a different route. But what does retirement mean for entrepreneurs? So this is going to be an awesome topic. I'm excited to just kind of wrap with you on it, Mark.
For sure, man. I think the good news is I was never good at school. I was always bored. I was always overwhelmed because I didn't want to be there. I was not the best kid in school because I wanted to get in trouble, so I had to get sent home. So I barely graduated high school. Not bragging, the facts. Never went to college. I never believed in it. I don't understand it. And again, I'm not that smart, so I never like. And my parents are pretty cool about it because they never like my kid's going to go to Yale or my kid's got. I always love the parents are like my kids got accepted in 72, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, your kid's a dipshit. I know him. And what does that mean? They're going to allow you to go in debt for $200,000 for your kid to get a marketing degree that he'll never use or she'll never like. So it's always like funny to me. Still is. By the way, my driver was telling me, he's like, my son's got blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. Like, do you know, like, he doesn't need to go to college for what he wants to do in his life? Like, when does a parent stop and think that, you know? So the truth is, I truly believe college, I know we're talking about retirement, but I believe college is in massive trouble. I think the cat's out of the bag. It's going to take a couple of generations still to kind of get through the reality of this, but it looks drastically different, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Drastically different. Um, there's some cool schools going on now. I think it's called Alpha out of Texas. This lady created, and she's got some real funding now. But like, you pay 50 grand a year for your kids, and I'm talking like sixth grade to 12th grade, dude. By the time they're out, and I think they're guaranteed. Tim, check this out. Their guarantees like, if your kids come to our school and don't generate at least $1 million by the time they're out of school, we'll refund all your money back. Think about that.
I like it. I
Pretty good
like
sales
it. That's
pitch.
awesome.
Pretty good sales pitch.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is not just about money. It's about who they become to get the money. And I'm not saying college is a bad thing if you understand what you're going to college for, because it could be a great play for connections, relationships, growing up, depending how your parents raise you or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing if you believe it's going to save your life. You're going to go to college, you're going to spend $80,000 a year, and you're going to go get this degree, and you're going to get a great job. Dude, I hire amazing human beings, C-level, $250,000 plus jobs. I've never, ever, ever looked at where they went to college. I don't care. What I do care about is what have you accomplished? Who do you know in the industry? What do they say about you? And how big can we take this? You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. How's your attitude, right? How do you show up to work? Like that to me, I can teach you any technical skill. Like that's not the difficult part. The difficult part is making sure you got somebody who's got an ownership mentality, who like is willing to grind it out, who gets things done, who's results driven as opposed to just, punching the clock. And that to me carries a lot of weight. Yeah, dude, I'll tell you what. So I'm different because I was an A and B student, right? Was always in honors.
Mhm.
Like but prided myself on being in honors classes, getting 4.0s, and having perfect attendance at school, which is like the most obnoxious thing to brag about, right? Like, who fucking gets like that's like the anti-brag. If I look back at life today, I was like, dude, that means I didn't actually live. Like, I try to take my kids out of school as much as I can in order to go and travel and do awesome stuff and visit. Like, we took them out of school in order to go to Africa and go on African safaris. And
Yep.
so when we got a letter from the school saying, "Hey, you're truant because your kid didn't have a pass to get out a doctor's note in order to get out of school for this week. I was like, yeah, here's the doctor's note, right? Here's some pictures of them on a safari drive. So, anyways, but I was that kid, and I subscribed to that, and got good grades, went to college, uh, got decent grades in college too. And dude, if you ask me what did I learn in college, none of it came from a class. Like literally none. It came from growth as like maturing as an individual, and it came from amazing relationships from people that I met in this phase of life. And I asked myself, like, is this something that my kids could get those relationships and get that maturing that college can do for you outside of going to college? Because dude, like I think about, yeah, for our generation, maybe, and for earlier generations, probably. But like, what would you send your kid to school for today? Like this, all the AI stuff is taking all, not the low end jobs, they're taking all the high end jobs that you need to go to college for. The law degrees, the physician's degrees, um, the marketing experts, and like
Every one of them.
business
Every one of
development,
them.
and like all of that stuff's going to be outsourced to AI over the course of the next 5 to 10 years if it's not already outsourced. And like I don't know what you would send your kid to school for. Like this is something, over the next 8 years, right? Penelope's going to be going to college if she goes to college, but I'm trying to kind of not program her. I'm trying to instill in her ideas that she doesn't need to. She can go start a business. She can go
Yep.
buy some real estate. She can go develop her own way of making impact and get an apartment downtown, like have some buddies and have some friends. And I actually had a really, really cool message from a long-term member of our mastermind, which um, our mastermind, we've actually collaborated with another mastermind in order so that way me and my team can focus our efforts on smart management. And so I'm actually closing down the whole coaching business from stuff that we internally offer. I still show up to your mastermind and a couple other ones and contribute in that regard, but I don't run a coaching platform anymore. And so one of our long-term members is like, hey, I just want to send you a note. Like I didn't go to college, and I felt like I missed out on certain things, like the friendships and the relationships and all those kinds of things that a lot of people get with their college friends.
Yep.
And from joining the mastermind legacy over the past 4 years, 5 years that I've been involved, I've gotten those relationships, right? It's like my best friends. It's the people we go to concerts with and we travel the world with and go on vacations with and build businesses with and have amazing conversations about how to be better spouses and how to be better parents and how to be better people, right? And I got that from being in a mastermind. I didn't need to go to college in order to do something like that. And so I think like that was an eye opener for me. And I know the value of being part of certain mastermind groups and uh, things along those lines, but finding the right one with the right core values and things like that, where you can develop those relationships. Dude, guess what? I guess I didn't need to go to college. My daughter doesn't need to go, or my kids don't need to go to college.
Right.
And I think you can get that in other ways if you ask yourself and you're aware and create intentionality of developing those relationships in other manners.
Yeah, unless she wants to become a beer bongologist or something like that,
Yeah,
she did
yeah.
a beer
That's
pongologist.
not going to be it, Mark.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah,
definitely
right.
not pursuing that path.
Well, she could be. Never mind. Anyway, so please tell me your parents weren't the parents that had that big ass magnet on the back. My son is
No, no,
a
no, no.
honor
They
roll
didn't do
student
that.
at blah blah blah. Like I always love
No.
that because I'm like, dude. Again, I'm not even joking. As a child, I knew this was the weirdest thing in the world. I'm like, I'm playing outside. You're working really hard to get an A or a B. By the way, get a C so we can do the curve grade in class and I actually get a C this time and you get an A. But like, dude, I heard this one that I do not know where I heard it, but I know it's to be true. Do you know what they call a doctor that got a 4.0 and a doctor that got a D in school, graduated?
Doctor.
Doctor. Which doctor you think had the most fun?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think the key point here is, dude, if you want to pursue good grades or if you want to pursue external activities and your weight isn't on school, or if it is on school, dude,
Yep.
you and I are right here to somewhat different paths, but are
Sure.
still in the same position or same room having the same conversation right now about life and business and bettering things. So I think the main point is you can be on whatever trajectory, or you can come from whatever trajectory and background that you come
Sure.
from, and you can still be in the same room or be on a certain path to achieve different kinds of things. And I think that to me is the more important piece. Like,
100%.
uh, dude, there was someone up at the mountain house who comes from a much more adverse background than you and me. Like, one of his parents was murdered when he was a kid, grew up in
Yep.
foster homes, like not great, like abusive, like foster homes. And he's like one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met in my entire life. And you're like, dude, if this kid can do it, anybody can do it, right? If you can overcome those kinds of adversities and be where he is today, of like the most likable, like amazing, he's going to be a phenomenal father. Like he's an amazing spouse. He cares about his country. He cares about his friends. Like, he's like one of the most well-rounded, fantastic people I've ever met, and came from straight
Yep.
trauma, like horrible, horrible. And it's like, dude, there's no excuses, right? There's zero excuses
No, man.
of us not being able to then achieve and reach our goals and reach our dreams.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, right? About identity, right? This guy just shifted. He's like, hey, that identity I don't accept. I'm going to
Not
create a
me.
new identity.
Yep.
I think one thing too about, talking about these groups and different things, everyone wants to belong to a tribe. That's why sports works so well. Because that is your idea. I'm a blah 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 High State fan, or whatever. FU Michigan, I'm a High State fan. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Yeah, but I get it. But also, like, you could do this with people that are, I'm a Pilates thing. I do ride the bike thing, or I'm the best, mountain climber. Or fine.
Yep. Dude, you see it with pickleball communities, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Like I think
insanely
all
tight.
yeah, it's tight, right? Like I think it's great, dude. Like I'm not saying for school for me, like when I joke around about that doctor thing, A and D, find something you want to be an A at and go all in. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And that's probably if you're listening to the show, you've probably done that. Sometimes we do it a little over the top and we suffer other areas of our life. And but talking about the retirement piece, because we're stuck on this college thing, but like the college thing is going to shape. And I don't believe because right, you're going to have your tribe when you're in school, you'll have your tribe when you're in college. Why do you have to? Why would you stop getting tribes around tribes?
Yeah.
I think education starts every day. I think you have to be educating yourself constantly, as you and I do, like listening to podcast shows, reading books, being in groups,
Yep.
environments, whatever. Like, by the way, I'm not saying abandon the tribe you're in, but why not evolve into new tribes as you grow? And what happens when we're doing that is like retire as we get older, right? Like this is going to happen. I do believe there's a secret hack in the game of life. As we get older, we should probably be hanging out with people a lot younger because their young spirit, their young hustle, their young heart, their young mind, for guys like you and I, like get us excited, as opposed to
Yep.
hanging out with some old stoogey 82-year-old man, whatever. It's like, bro, like we got shit to do. I don't care if I'm the 82-year-old guy. I want to do more. I want to, and it's not about more money. It's about more impact, more growth. I mean, I was talking to this guy, dude, 21 years old, just sold a company for $30 million. And they're like, what's the biggest thing? Like, he's like, dude, I have 13-year-old kids inspiring me every day that are smarter than me. Because you got to understand the generations 0 to 13 now, those kids, they grew up on the internet. They understood technology. The AI is their life.
Hmm.
A 13-year-old kid could outdo me in AI today, right now. I'm
Hands
not
down.
up to par. That dude, that inspires me actually. That gets me excited. Like, why would I want to retire? By the way, the only people that retire are people are retired to expire. They want to expire that part of their life. They don't want to deal with it anymore. And then from what I've seen is they have a very aggressive downward trend if they hated their life to get to that point. Everybody I know like wants to get excited. The cool thing about entrepreneurship, the more we make, the more we grow, the more we get older we get, the better we are. It's not like athletes. Like by the time you're 30ish, you don't see 50-year-old quarterbacks. You don't see 50-year-old people running down the court in basketball. They have to retire and then they have to shift their identity into something bigger. But like,
Hmm.
what are you thinking about retirement? How do you think about retirement over there, Tim?
So I grew up on the path of work till this age, and then you retire, and then you can go travel. What I've realized, man, is I don't care to retire. I care about the ability to not have to work, right?
Mhm.
That is freedom in my world, right? Like I want the ability to retire if I wanted to retire. Once I know that the ability is there, now the retirement doesn't really mean anything to me. It having the freedom to choose of what I want to do, when I want to do it, what career path I want to pursue, what business opportunities I want to pursue, where I want to travel, where I spend my time on a daily basis. That is the true appeal of retirement. And so if you can achieve that in your business earlier on, then dude, there's no reason to retire. Like, what are you going to do with retirement anyways? And so that's been my shift in mentality towards retirement. Like, dude, I'm going to work. You don't mind working as long as we have the option to take off of work or not have to work or close something down. Like, I got one of the businesses that I own that I invested in and have a bunch of money in. That's a relative term, right? It's six figures, and uh, I got some money in, and like we're closing it down, and it's like my partner's all stressed about it, and we got some debts that they want to pay off, and what they can sell the business for right now, but there's some life circumstances going on, and they're like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to get you your money back. I was like, who cares, right? Like this is so infinitesimal in the grand scheme of things. Like there's no reason you need to be stressed about this. Yeah, I'd like to get my money back, but at the same time, it's like I have other things to focus on. There's probably other ways that you can provide value once you do sell this thing and have some time back. And they got some certain connections that they can make that would improve our ability to then expand smart management. And I was like,
Yep.
dude, don't even worry about it. Like, don't stress about this stuff. And being able to do that, right, offers freedom. It offers opportunity, it offers options. Um, that to me is more like retirement, right? And having that ability to do that.
For sure. I think, two things. One, me and my wife, now my wife, Dina, back in 2005 to whatever, we traveled for 7 years around the world. Dude, we were hanging out in places, and, you're hanging out in Santorini, Greece, and you see the old lady pushing her husband. It's in his late 60s in a wheelchair. And, I'm talking to him like, hey, where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. I'm from Wisconsin. Cool. What do you do? It's like, I saved up to my whole life to do this trip. And I promise you, and I didn't say this obviously, but I promise you that person didn't save up thinking he was going to be in a wheelchair being pushed around by his wife in
Yep.
Santorini, Greece.
That's not
So
how they
they
envisioned
wait to
envisioned
live.
retirement.
Think about that. That's waiting to live. By the way, this is a false narrative that you've been sold in one's life to think that by the time you hit 65, you magically don't want to do anything in your life except hang out. I don't know anybody in my world that just wants to hang out and do nothing. Because what happens when they do that, they start failing everywhere. They're sick, they nitpick, they're getting divorces because they don't like their spouse. It just, a lot of bad things happen. Like humans need to have something to go forward, go to,
100%.
you know what I mean? So when I would see that, I would question. I'm like, man, because again, I always thought I was being a little reckless sometimes because I'm like, me and Dean are like hanging out. We're in Barcelona, agree. We're Bora Bora, blah blah blah, meeting all these. And dude, all these couples save their entire life. And again, yes, it costs them money to go there. And I'm like, I'd rather spend it now instead of hopefully have it when I'm 65 and maybe be alive, maybe be healthy. There were so many maybes that would have to happen to it that happen. Why can't I live now? By the way, maybe I'm not in the penthouse, but I'm in the smallest place, but I'm there. Because it's not about the big room or whatever. It's about the location, the
Yep.
flexibility, the opportunity, and all that. And the truth is, when you're younger, you don't need all that other shit. That's all bells and whistles that, and by the way, I'm not saying not to get that stuff. If you can get it, go get it. It's awesome. But we have to understand retiring, what does it mean? I'm so big on the words. I talk about it, talk about understanding what a word means. I work hard, I'm rich, I'm poor, I invested a lot of money. It's all like, retire. I don't want to retire. Retire the statement is what I recommend doing because retiring, why? Do you want to retire from life? Do you want to retire from pro? The only people retire is people don't want to do what they do. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, oh, I'm gonna like, dude. The best thing I did was retire my parents. I made enough money and gave them enough like was able to help them do things that I mean, I see a lot of people like, by the way, this part of retirement in my mind, like, why wouldn't you do the things you can do now instead of waiting for a big moment when you have this big windfall to be able to do X? Maybe do a little bit now, build into it, and then ultimately in 3 years, now you're taking care of your family 100%, your
Mm-hmm.
parents or your grandparents or your loved one, whatever. But I would bet anybody, I think everyone here should do this. Listen to my voice. Go to your local nursing home, take a dozen of roses or flowers, and go sit down and talk to these individuals. Ask them, what do they wish they'd have done different? Dude, there's a lot of wisdom with people that are on the end of life, especially sitting in a nursing home where their kids probably aren't visiting them. By the way, the kids that we care about, they have their own lives, they have their own problems, they have their own things going on. So we get stuck into the system, the retirement system, and we get left behind. And don't, if you don't think that's going on, go to any nursing home and you will clearly, it's everywhere. And again, you don't think about it, you just drive by them every day. But you go in there, these are humans that literally had dreams and goals and thoughts like you and I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to them, ask them what they wish they'd have done more of. And whatever they say, you probably should do it because they can't do anything about it now. Game's almost over. So we're in the game, you know? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, like, I've done not exactly that, but I've had those conversations with people on the tail end and, family reunions and elderly relatives and stuff like that. And I said, hey, what's something, tell me about life. What's something you regret? You know what their regrets were? Not things that they did that they messed up with. It was things that they never tried.
Yep.
It wasn't things that they pursued and enjoyed or fell flat on their face with and totally screwed everything up. It was the things that they never tried. It was the things
Yep.
they never pursued. It was the dreams, the ambitions, and the goals and the
Mhm.
hopes that they never moved forward with, never even gave it a chance.
Yep.
Those were the regrets, not the
Yep.
regrets of the things that they did do. And a big one, and actually somebody we got to get on here is Bill Perkins, is Die with Zero, right?
Yeah.
And the concept of the book Die with Zero, and if you don't have the book or if you haven't read the book, definitely get it. It will shift your mindset on this stuff quite a bit. Or check him out on a couple podcasts. We got to get him on here too. Um, but this is a guy who essentially uh, saw that most people retire with too much money, right? The kids are old enough, they have their own careers, they have their own investments. You're not paying for their lifestyle anymore, right? By the time you retire, your kids are in your 30s or 40s, and at the same time, by the time you retire, you've got too much money and too little health and too little time, right? And so the things that you wanted to do when you made the goal list or you made that bucket list in your 20s and 30s of hiking certain mountains or going parasailing off of a cliff or like doing awesome, crazy, experiential type things, you can't do when you're 65, 70, 80 years old anymore. And so the concept of his book is maximizing, not for making the most money like we usually do. That's how everybody maximizes their goals and optimizes their goals. But how about optimizing for the most fulfillment in life instead?
Sure.
And if you optimize for fulfillment, you're going to live a much happier life. And this uh, end this goal line of retirement doesn't exist, right? And it shouldn't exist anyways, right? I think people create this. You and I talk about checkpoints a
Mhm.
lot of like, no, this is the goal. We're going to achieve the goal, and we know that it's a checkpoint on the road, and the road never ends, right? The freeway never ends. It's like just checkpoint to checkpoint, moving along. And that has been a really big shift for me as well, is like not thinking about it as like some far out date. No, it's just checkpoints along the way. Financial checkpoints, lifestyle checkpoints, relationship
Yep.
checkpoints, health checkpoints,
Yep.
right? And optimizing for fulfillment, one of the things that he says is like, to create the bucket list and then put each of the bucket list items in a decade of your life. And so I've done this. Like I had 130 things on my bucket list, which is, by the way, a really fun exercise, right? Like it's easy to come up with 20, 30, 40 things, and then it gets really, really hard. And you just have to really start getting creative and thinking outside the box of cool shit that you want to do and accomplish and uh, uh, impact that you want to make, where it gets really special, probably, item 40 through 100 plus. And so
Yeah.
anyways, then you go back and you put each one of those in a decade of your life. Hey, I can only do this one in my 20s or my 30s. So I got to make sure I check this one off before I turn 40 years old. This one can be done in my 40s or my 50s, right? And you're allocating it. And then it creates the constraint, right? Like we know that if you give somebody 30 days to pack a suitcase for a vacation, they pack it the day before, right? Because you've given them that much time. And there's a constraint in place the day before they travel. It's like when you put a bucket list together, there's no constraint. It's just some time in the future that you're going to start checking these things off. But by putting a decade to it or a year of your life to it, saying, hey, I got to do this one by the time I'm 35, or I'm going to do this one this year, or do these three things this year on my bucket list. It puts a constraint in place. And now you have to organize it. You have to plan for it. You have to spend money on it, and you go and do that. But
Yeah.
what it does, right? We get worried about, oh, well, I could take this 50 grand or 100 grand or 10 grand and I could spend it or invest it and have compound interest. Dude, by investing it in a vacation, by investing it in an experience, by investing it with your family and memories, you create memory dividends, right? You create compounding uh, um, ideas and thoughts and excitement and culture to yourself and to your family of now, guess what? Dude, my kids talk to people all the time about going to Africa and the animals they saw in Africa and hiking around Victoria Falls and taking this helicopter ride over and seeing everything. Dude, that's memory dividends that'll compound from the time they're 8 years old, 10 years old, to the time they're 80 or 100 years old, right? And you're going to develop relationships and connections with people who have also done that or who have wanted to do that, that they never would have had, like some, or potentially wouldn't have had some sort of connecting factor with otherwise. So like it's going to put my daughters and my son in a better position and put us in a better position, right? When we
Yep.
have conversations, we're more interesting of people, we're more cultured of people, we have more stuff to talk about. And by doing that, it develops deeper relationships on the business side or on the health side or on the friend side. And that compounding memories, the compounding experiences create way bigger dividends than putting the money in a money market or a CD or a real estate investment or a business investment that could make 10, 12, 15, 30% a year. Dude, it's inconsequential compared to the value that it would bring from
Yep.
memory dividends.
Absolutely. And everyone here's listening to the show is like, I'm rich now. What? Well, you're probably wealthy and that's why you're here. And you probably have a lot of people are quirky with money and connections and paying for people and doing things like that. And what Tim's talking about, I do think to be very clear, it's not too late. I don't care what age you are. There's some things that you need to do immediately. You need to write letters to people you care about and let them know you care about them. You need to tell people you love them more. And if you've never told them, you better tell them, right? Because the time, it could be today, right? Like today, they could be the end. And again, I wish I would have told him I loved him. I wish I would have hugged him harder a little bit. Like there's all these little things, and it's like we gotta wait for this stuff to do it. Why can't we do it now? What? Don't think about it. Shoot a video. Write a letter. I write my parents letters. My in-laws. I write letters often. I send my wife emails every day. Let her know what's going on. Communication is key. More importantly, communicate with yourself. I do think what's interesting about this, if you're wealthy, like I do this for my uncles, like my dad, his brothers, my father-in-law, his son, and my nephews and my son. We get a suite at the football thing, and I'm not even into football, by the way. I don't care about it, but they love it, right? So I get T-shirts made up with our names on the back. I get hats made up with their signatures on the side. It's usually the Bengals Browns game because my in-law, my father-in-law, and his son, and all them are into the Browns. And then I bring my brother-in-law. And then my dad's all about the Bengals and all that stuff. So I kind of create this cool little rivalry thing. And we get a hotel the night before. I pay for the hotel. I pay for the flights. If the people are flying in, I pay for everything, dude. It's like 30, 40 grand for the day, 2 days. And I'm not saying you have to spend that kind of money, but like, dude, that's something they would never do, ever. They won't even buy a nosebleed seat, right? I can watch it on TV, better see, like whatever. I'm not doing it for the sporting event. I'm doing it for the experience, the
Yep.
moments. When we're sitting there talking and connecting with my uncle, I haven't talked for a while. By the way, one of my uncles potentially, might not have much longer right now. Truthfully, like right now, he's got some massive issues going on and might be like, could be weeks or months. And, these are memories. He actually will shoot me a text once in a while, like, hey, thank you for doing that. Hey, I appreciate, like, sometimes you don't even know why you're doing it. You just know you need to do it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, and guys, we're typically the ones listening to the show talking here are the ones that make things happen, right? They're
Yep.
not going to call you up and say, hey, can you get us a blah, blah, blah. By the way, don't do this just for the boys, do this for the ladies. My wife, her sister, her mom got them a chauffeur car, got them high end spa day and hang out. Like, let them make their memories too. And maybe you just hang out at the park and turn it into like, why do you have to do a family reunion on the weekend? Why can't I do a family get together on the weekday at 2 o'clock? Right? Hey guys, take a day off work. And again, it's not being flexing it's because you want to do it. Why else have money? I truly don't know why else you would have money unless you don't take care of the people you love the most. And when I say take care, do things like that, right? But you got
Mhm.
to be thinking about it. I think a lot of people, like you said, oh, it's $10,000. I could blah, blah, blah. Dude, let's say you're a great investor, you make 10%, it's $1,000. You're willing to sacrifice $1,000 for a life. Like, dude, look back 12 months from now, they might not be here.
Mhm.
You don't have to believe me. Look back to the last 12 months that's happened today. Are people in better health? Are they older? Are they younger? Like people are getting older. We're getting older. We're changing. So the ultimate thing is just don't retire. Live
Yep.
like you're dying, really, is what you should be doing. I mean, I'm not saying recklessly either, but also you have to live while you're alive, man. You know?
Dude, I love that. We make things happen. I
Yeah.
wrote it down, right? It's
Yeah.
like, even if you're not making things happen, we're listening to this because we have the ability to make things happen, right? You have the money. You're trying to figure out what makes the biggest impact
Hmm.
next with it. It's by contributing to your family, to your loved ones, creating these unbelievable memories, these unbelievable experiences that we have the ability to do, that $1,000 or that $5,000 or that $100,000 for many people won't even see that money missing, right? They won't even think about it once it's paid for. Okay, it's gone. They're back to business anyways. Okay, well, like, but guess what? You're going to have this unbelievable experience and they will never forget it. Like my buddies that come up to the mountain house, we do a guys weekend every year, March Madness. And we watch the games and it's too much basketball and it's too much food that we make and there's steaks and all this meat and I'm sure there's too much drinking, but we try to do some healthy stuff. We go golfing, we do everything. It's just an awesome excessive weekend of my high school buddies, my college buddies, and then my post college buddies and like business buddies and stuff. And we're hanging out up there. And like some of them freaking live for it, man. Like
Yeah.
they wait all year. They start planning it 6 months in advance for a weekend that I'm able to contribute for an awesome house that we have up in the mountains that they would never go out and rent, that they would never go out and go. And guess what? Like they wouldn't go and organize it either, right? If I don't organize it, it's not happening. And
Yep.
so me being able to, or even if it wasn't at my house, like I'd have to go and organize it, but I do it because of the relationships
Yep.
and I know how much it means to everybody. And it's a great just kind of relaxation guys weekend. And guess what? It's turned into a little bit of a, almost like a relationship and family mastermind too. Like without calling it that, without knowing
Sure.
that that's how I would identify it. My buddies are asking, "Hey man, what do you do? What's your one-on-one time with Penelope? What's your one-on-one time with Hudson? Like, what do you do with Kate? And how do you? Here's something that I'm dealing with on the financial side. And one of my buddies just got married and is trying to figure out how to balance out finances and merge finances with his wife. And he's asking me for advice and all this other stuff. But it's like, dude, it's like a little bit of a mastermind that it's turned into because even though they're not entrepreneurs or they're not pursuing business endeavors the same way that I am, dude, there's a lot that we can still connect with and still improve on and challenge each other in order to be better with. And that's
Yep.
that's the key, man, is making sure that you have those people in your corner
Hmm.
and regardless of what their levels of ambitions are, they're always lifting me up and liking my videos and commenting and doing stuff like that because they're buddies, right? And they're big
Exactly.
supporters. But I think it's one of those things is like we make it happen, right?
Yeah.
We're the ones who have the ability, and so we're the ones who have the responsibility to then put it together.
Yeah, too many people are waiting, right? I hate waiting, waiting, waiting. I'm going to wait to retire. I'm going to wait to do this. I'm going to wait to plan that. Why not just plan it? Another thing too, I want to talk about because we're talking about retiring. Most of, probably our audience is going to be younger guys, gals, whatever, 30s, 40s, 50s. You might have some parents around or grandparents. One of my partners, he actually, because I had retired my parents a long time ago. I know some people that could do that right now for their parents, but they won't because they're investors and they think it's all about investing and investing and investing, even though their parents have to wake up every day and go to work and bust their tail to get to retirement age, to hopefully be alive and be healthy, to be able to enjoy their retirement. Why not make their retirement better today? Right. And oh, by the way, I'm not saying like they don't have to work at all. because sometimes that's not good either. But maybe have a conversation with them and say, "Hey, mom, what's going on? How you feeling? What are you looking like? Blah 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 blah." And then she's like, "I'm working 36 hours a week. It's really hard. I got to take care of your dad. I got to do this. I got to do that." It's like, well, could you work 4 hours a week and I could take care of you and pay your salary and help you out and live your life and do these things? Like, are you thinking about that? Because I'm not saying like for guys like us and gals like us listening, it's not about us retiring. How can we I want to help people retire, right? People I care about, people that don't have what we have and know what we know and do what we do. And that's fine. Like we're all different. Because I've done this, Tim, like even with my what shit about a month ago, I took my entire family. I think there's 13 of us, 12, 14. I don't even know how many, whatever, many people. My mother-in-law, her guy, my brother-in-law, his family, my sister-in-law, my family. We went on a huge cruise. This is a very large investment, and that's exactly what it was, an investment. It wasn't a cost. It was an investment in amazing experiences. David's 86, my mother-in-law's 79. Like we're all getting older. They don't have the much umph like they used to. They can't chase the kids up and down the drive. Like life is happening. And I
Hmm.
could like, and by the way, how that come about is I ask every year, what are your dreams and goals that you would love to do that money doesn't matter? And her dream and goal was like, I want to take the family on a Disney cruise. Done. We can make that happen, right? We
Hmm.
don't have to wait. We don't have to dream about it. We don't have to talk about it. We can do it, right? And the excitement to the journey, right? Once we made that point, dude, I think it was like 6 months in advance. By the way, I don't really do that long in advance, but like my wife did, and them, dude, they're excited. They're getting their clothes. They're telling their friends that, all that fun. Like the build up oftentimes is way cooler than the doing. So
100%.
it really gets them excited. So you listening can do this for people you care about, your uncles, your aunts, your cousins. I'm getting ready to do something for my uncle. It's getting ready to potentially pass here sooner than later. Is send them a couple of dollars, let them go hog wild at the casino and spend 2 grand, or like whatever the amount is. It's insignificant to me, but would be massively impactful for him. And I
Hmm.
think so many people are like, oh, I could take that money and make 2.8, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? We have time. They don't. So
Hmm.
find the people you care about. And again, everyone's different with this. I genuinely love to take care of people I care about,
Hmm.
right? And it's not me inserting myself and trying to be I ask them, what would you like more of? What do you like? I'm trying to understand where their head's at, where they want to go, where they don't want to go, what's hurting them, what's helping them, and really just be a resource for them. And I don't have to have all the answers. And by the way, I could do a lot more. And it's not about giving more, it's about listening and doing something. You know what I mean? You don't have to take care of everything, but if they just plant the seed, just give them a little bit of hope, give them a little, shot in the arm, if you will, of wow, people do care, right? Because sometimes when you're going down that, path, like you kind of in your brain, you're kind of preparing for the end. You kind
Hmm.
of feel like I'm alone, I'm a nobody. Again, go to a nursing home. You don't have to believe anything I'm saying. Go to a nursing home, have real conversations. They have nothing to sell you. They have they're going to be very genuinely honest with you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But you got to show up. You got to talk to them. So, Tim, retiring, man, I don't think anybody here is retiring, honestly. Do you?
Nope. Not happening,
Um,
man. No,
I,
we're in this for the long haul. These are checkpoints on the timeline, on the journey timeline of life. And dude, I think it really puts a lot of things in perspective of like how do we retire today and live the life of retirement today by having options, by making impact, by helping loved ones. We have the ability to do it, man. And there's no reason we need to delay it. There's no reason we need to hold off on helping others or improving the lifestyles or giving these memories and experiences to the people we really care about. And it's going to create massive dividends long term.
Mhm.
And how do you start flexing that muscle now? How do you start exercising that muscle now? Maybe it's a
Yep.
small trip, and then you get into bigger ones if as you're working up towards it. But dude, go and dream a little bit. Go and think about all the awesome stuff that you want to do and uh, in your lifetime, and let's start knocking down those pillars right now. There's no
Absolutely.
reason to wait. Like it will be, it's money that you won't even realize is gone after it's spent, and you're going to be
Yep.
so grateful that you did book it, that you did plan it, that you did experience it, and gave that opportunity to the people that you care about. So,
Absolutely. Tim, I know we got to go here soon, but I just thought of where did the word retirement even come from? I wonder. I'm not in
I
front of the
know.
computer to like check that, but like I'd be very interested because again, this is a designed life. Other people are designing your life, telling you do this, do that, do this, and then retire. That's the North Star. Everyone's waking up, sacrificing their day-to-day life, missing kids' at sporting events, missing grandkids' events, doing this, doing that, blah, 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 to get to this magical retirement North Star. And when you get there, you're like, that's all it is. That's it. What does it say, Tim?
It says the act or fact of leaving one's job and ceasing to work. The period of one's life after leaving one's job and ceasing to work. You know what? Number two is withdrawal of a from a jury. Um, Withdrawal of a jury from the courtroom to decide their verdict. Number three, seclusion.
Mm, that's not good.
Secluded. Dude, how about that?
Yeah, well,
Right?
well,
That's not what I want, right? I want to hang out with people that I care about. I want to hang out with people that I love. I want to do fun stuff with fun, awesome individuals.
yeah,
And yeah, life of seclusion sounds uh, not like a lot of fun to me. Maybe a
no,
vacation of seclusion, right?
yeah,
Going and
yeah,
hanging out at a
temporary,
lake house and
yeah,
where nobody's around and just kind of reading a book for a week or two and
yeah,
thinking about life. Like I could totally do that, but living a life
yeah,
of long-term seclusion,
yeah.
dude, that's
Well,
gonna
it's not
expire
good.
you early.
Yeah, not only that, you're gonna have long-term seclusion when you're 6 foot under in a box. So just
Yep.
let's deal with that later.
Yep.
One more thing, because we got to roll, but I would recommend everyone here send a letter to your in-laws, your parents, send them flowers out of the blue. Just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. I appreciate you. Simple. I'm doing this today myself, actually. I'm going to do this today. Truth is, I was going to do it Monday. Forgot to do it to my daughter. I was going to send her some flowers to the house when I was gone, but I'm going to do it today. Do it to your kids, your grandkids, your uncle, whoever you think about when I say it. Boom. And by the way, you don't have to just do one. You could do two, three, 10, 100, whatever you want. But like, make that an action step to do now. Don't retire, inspire, grow people, grow yourself, and enjoy life every day while you're alive. Because one day we won't have that option. But Tim, I think this is a great show, man. I think
Well
retiring
said.
not for seclusion, but for opportunity is let's live life while we're alive, man. I appreciate you,
Well
man.
said, man. Hey,
Garrett,
appreciate you guys being here on I'm Rich Now What. If you got some value out of this, all we ask is that you share it with somebody else who would get a lot of value out of it. I mean, there's so many people who are stuck in this mindset that could use just a little bit of a shift on perspective. And so make sure you share this with somebody who would make a big impact on them. I know it will, and they're going to thank you for sharing this with them. So appreciate you guys being here. If you got a lot of value, please like the podcast, share the podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and we're
tag
here every
us,
week. So
tag us, tag us so
tag
we can
us.
share
Yeah,
it with
tag
you.
us. And if you got any questions or ideas or comments or anything, put it in the show notes or
Yep.
tag us on social media. And we'd love to talk about more topics and dive deeper into these types of ideas. This is the stuff that we live for, man. Me and Mark talk
Absolutely.
about this all the time. So
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys being here. Love y'all. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on I'm Rich. Now what?
Talk to you.